You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Rick Robinson. We are just a couple minutes past the hour right here in Philadelphia, and I am with you right now on WNJC 1360 AM out of Philadelphia. Now, of course, the show hasn't technically started yet, but when we come back, I do have a guest with us for the first half of the show. We have Miss Jen Homestead, my co-host for the Jen and Rick show that we do on K98 Talk every Tuesday and Thursday. She's going to be with us for the first half of the show. Last half of the show, got a couple of treats for you. We've got a new email segment put together by Mr. Jason DeWilkin, the man of 1,000 voices, as well as Eric Williams, the guy who writes the Hillary's email bit that I do once a week. They have now teamed up to bring you never-before-heard Trump speeches. So we'll get to that in the second half of the show as well. Again, this is America Off the Rails. We'll be starting the show here in just a couple minutes. Just wanted to say good afternoon, Philadelphia. Hope you're enjoying your drive home, and it's Friday. We finally made it. Folks, you are listening to America Off the Rails, now a proud member of the Conservative Commando Radio Network, right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse of Philadelphia. Now, I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself maybe not near a radio, Maybe you're traveling and you don't have access to the internet. Did you know that the Conservatives Commando Radio Network can now be heard on a telephone network by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night? That's right. You can hear every show as it's broadcast live, even if you're not near the radio or an internet, because everybody nowadays has a phone in their hand. But here's the good news, though. As soon as we go off the air at night on the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC, you can listen to every show that aired for that day as many times as you want just by dialing that number. It'll be a live feature every day at 12 p.m. daily, and it'll be exclusively for the shows that run on that network. But until the next day when it goes live again, they're going to run them over and over and over again. So now you have on-demand access to the Conservative Commando Radio Network right on your phone. How cool is that? Just remember, the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Well, good afternoon, Philadelphia. This is Rick Robinson. I'm back with you. Did you miss me? I've missed you. All right, so we've got a guest with us for the first half of the show. I have Miss Jen Homestead. If you hang out at all with us on K98 Talk, and if you don't, I'm done talking to you. You're dead to me. No, I'm just playing. We do Jen and Rick every Thursday, or every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to let her come on now and actually give you guys a little bit of time to get to know her, who she is, what got her involved in this kind of stuff, what makes her tick. Just thought it was time that I introduced her to Philadelphia. Do hope that you like her as much as I do. Without further ado, here is Miss Jen Homestead. Good afternoon. How are you, ma'am? Actually, I guess it's evening now. I keep forgetting it's like 6-something now. So, yeah drive time.
Yeah, well, whatever. Afternoon is... Wait, isn't everything fluid?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Gender is fluid. Things are all on a spectrum. Afternoon, fluid.
Pardon me, folks. I'm gonna leave the room. I've been triggered. I'm just kidding.
Sorry about that. Hello, Philadelphia. I triggered Rick. Hi. So me, what do I do? How did I get involved in all this? I am from Texas, such a great, traditionally Republican state. I was raised in a fairly non-political family, but I went to college at a very liberal university, very quickly realized how conservative I was, and that, yes, much of it was based on the values and principles I was raised with. I got very involved in Young America's Foundation and spent summers in D.C., hung out with a lot of different groups, spent a lot of days on a back porch, or nights actually, on a back porch with a beer, arguing with all my crazy liberal college friends. And really kind of like honed my skills for defending conservatism, and just realized that I really loved it. I ended up getting involved in a completely other field that I also really liked, and took a few years away from everything, namely towards the end of the Bush years and into the beginning of the Obama presidency, and kind of got reinvigorated when we were getting into the fall elections of 2014. And, I'd just been kind of downtrodden, I think, for a long time, where it just seemed like nothing mattered. Nothing was helping. It kind of didn't matter who we were electing or whatnot. And I liked the Tea Party movement, but I wasn't just super gung-ho with it. I kind of tend to not be... I like grassroots. I don't like it when it becomes super fanfare. So I kind of felt like there were like legit Tea Party movement people, and then there was kind of the celebrity, crazy, make a statement just to make one Tea Party movement thing.
And
so I hadn't really been super involved until 2014, and then I joined Twitter, and I got involved in some local stuff, and the rest is history. Now I find myself doing a radio show with you, and being involved in various projects on the political front, and I just absolutely love it. And even with all my disappointment these days via our national elections, but it's been great getting kind of back into the political fold.
Well, it was great being in the political fold until the GOP basically just sold us all out, told us to go to hell.
Pretty much. I mean, they really stuck it to us. Priebus has been just fantastic, has he not?
There are things I would like to say to Mr. Reince Priebus right now that are not FCC regulated, and I'm not quite sure Mr. Producer could get to the 7-second dump button fast enough, so I will refrain. But I don't know. I mean, for me, the biggest thing for me is yesterday, of course, the announcement came out, according to the Associated Press, that it does appear that Mr. Trump has made it to the vaunted 1237, at which point in time I frantically started looking for my cyanide pill and realized I don't have one. I was a little depressed. No, not really. Depressed, but I really wasn't looking for a cyanide pill. I just honestly do not understand how we have gotten to the point of where we are in this country, where we have now, on one side, put up someone who is basically a liar with narcissistic tendencies who may or may not have committed murder against a liar with narcissistic tendencies who may or may not have committed murder. Which lever are we supposed to pull? Which lying narcissistic person with God complex are we supposed to give the nuclear launch codes to? The one that looks good in a pantsuit or the one that doesn't? And I'll let you be the judge as to which one of those that is. So I don't understand how we got where we are. I mean, it's kind of what you were talking about a second ago. This was the time for conservatism to finally stand up and say, America, this is what we've been trying to show you for the last couple of cycles, and we just haven't been able to get there. And now, instead of being able to do that, we have Donald Trump. I mean, this is the first time in my lifetime that I can honestly say, in my opinion, one of the folks leading a campaign pitched a no-hitter and still managed to lose, and that was Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz was not my first choice. He wasn't even my second or my third choice, but by the time everybody was out, he was the last one left that I can honestly look at and say, this guy understands what the Constitution is, he knows what it's supposed to be about, and he understands that the country needs to rely on that document, unlike these folks, and I hear this so many times anymore, from folks that used to be on our side of the argument that say, but Rick, the Constitution is an old moldy piece of paper and it's time we do something different. When did the folks that used to be on our side of the argument start talking that way, and how the heck did we miss it?
Only in order to adjust what they are now resigned to supporting. And some of them are resigned and some of them are enthusiastic about it. And you know this about me, but so as a Texan, I have always supported Ted Cruz as a senator. I love the movement that he struck up in Texas and the way in which he was able to rise. really as the underdog and make it to the Senate, and how he's fought the Senate. But he was also not my first choice for president, at least not this go round. That is nothing to say that that says nothing about what his actual qualifications and his constitutional, I'm going to go ahead and say, superiority to pretty much everybody else that has run for president in a very long time is, because it absolutely is superior. And it's one of the things I so highly value about him. But we get to this point where this guy that is he's the last one standing next to Trump, and he's so astute and he's so incredibly knowledgeable in our process, in our country, has such love for it, and is just amazingly willing to uphold and fight for every fiber of that old moldy document. And we've got people that are supposed to be on our side. And I've told you before, I scoff at that because not really on our side if this is what they choose, but that are willing to pass that over and follow an absolute demagogue. And it's astounding. It's just, I don't even know what went so wrong other than just this built up establishment, GOP-E, as they like to call it, thing that people are just supposedly so mad at, but don't always really know why when you ask them, that are so mad at that they think that they need to support this incredible, crazy, authoritative, nut job, basically.
Call him what he is. He's a nationalist, socialist with populist tendencies. Because, that's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. I've actually played clips over and over again in his own words that talk about how when it came right down to it, he would like to completely repeal Obamacare, but then replace it with something that ultimately ends in government-funded healthcare, because he thinks that by putting government in control of it, we can save so much money on the back end that we'll actually be better off by having the government control the healthcare. And for that, I say, are you crazy? Look at what they've done to the VA. I mean, you and I talked about that on Tuesday night over on the home station with the comments from the VA secretary, who basically was comparing the wait times at the VA to the wait times at Disney, and how nobody complains about the Disney wait times and blah, blah, blah. Not really going to go into that again, because I'm sure we kind of feel like you probably talked that to death on Tuesday. But just as a comparison, this is the same guy who keeps telling everybody that he's really a conservative and how much he's for freedom, but he opposes pretty much everything that conservatism has ever stood for. He's pro-Planned Parenthood. He has waffled now twice on minimum wage. First he was against it, then he was for it, then he wasn't so sure, now he's back to being for it. He was for government-funded healthcare, then against it, now he's back to being for it. He wants us to default with our creditors to force them to take less money. Otherwise, pretty easy layman's terms way of saying he thinks the United States government needs to file bankruptcy, because that's basically what that is, which works for him in the business realm, so he doesn't understand why it shouldn't work for the country. And it's one of the things that I've always tried to say. There are really big parallels between someone being the CEO of a company and being the president of the United States, but it is not a complete jive. There are things that will work in that concept, and there are things that don't. And the problem is we have someone who doesn't know that just because he's been a CEO, he can't necessarily run the country, because he thinks it's all going to work exactly the same way it works in the boardroom, and it's not. You can't sit across from someone and bluff them when you're talking about somebody possibly wanting to launch nuclear missiles at you. It doesn't work that way, especially when they know that you're a blustering idiot, and he's proven it so many times that everybody in the history of the world is going to laugh at him when he tries to talk serious, because of all the things that he said that weren't serious.
Absolutely. And by the way, you forgot to mention his whole idea of his proposed tariff plan would be probably the worst thing for capitalism that's happened in a very, very long time.
But Jen,
somehow this guy is.
But Jen, that'll force people to buy American products again.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will.
Well, no. See, when I have the exact same argument you just had about, his tariff plan is going to be terrible because it'll just force people to buy American again. Okay, so first of all, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll let you have the floor again in a second. But let's remember, the same guy that's talking about how he is going to make America great again and bring American jobs home, he's worth trillions, billions? Is it billions or trillions at this point? I think it's billions. What is it, like 10 point something $billion? But anyway, according to him...
supposedly.
Well, let's be completely honest with that. He won't show anybody his tax returns, which tells me that
we have no idea.
That he's probably worth a lot less, or at least he's working the numbers to show that he's worth less, which is probably why he keeps getting audited by the IRS, because you can't go around on all newspapers telling everybody you're worth $10 trillion or $10 billion and submit a tax return showing you're only worth $500,000.
And to be fair, I think he's probably worth less than what is boasted as far as liquid assets go. There may be more to that in other forms, but as far as being able to, liquefy his assets, he's probably not quite as high as he's proclaiming.
But yeah, so it goes back to the whole point of, the guy that says he's gonna fix the tax system is one of the biggest examples that we know of somebody that probably works the tax system. The same guy that says he's going to make sure that jobs come back to America and people buy American products that can afford to buy American products has his suits made in Mexico and his ties made in China. Again, if he's so gung-ho on American products and American manufacturing, he's got supposedly $10 billion. Why hasn't
Rick, that's just smart business. That's just good business. That's what he's doing.
So,
it's a smart business.
So it's going to change, and it's going to become not smart business
all
now
of
that he's
his
president?
plans are going to change that, and then all of his stuff will be made here, just like everything else should be made here. Come on. He's such a great guy.
You've been spending way too much time with Trumpers on Twitter.
Oh, isn't that just what you hear, though? It's just so ridiculous. It's like, wait, so we can't hold it. Well, but he couldn't be expected to make his stuff here because of this, and this, and that. And it's like, what? Like, you don't even realize the way in which that you're so hypocritical because you're such a sycophant of this.
But the thing about it is, and the thing about that is, though, they honestly believe that. But the scary thing is, it couldn't be further from the truth. There was, and I don't remember where it was. I wish I did. I was watching a news story the other day where there was a small town that there was like a huge sock factory in that town, and a lot of people worked there. And then as the NAFTA stuff came to bear and everything else happened, a lot of the jobs from that sock factory wound up going to places like Mexico and China and everywhere else. So they actually closed down the factory for a while. Well, the owner of the factory had a sister who had an idea, and he thought she was nuts. Because it was like, they can make the socks over there and it costs them $0.25. For us, it costs $1. So we have to pass those costs on to the consumer, and they don't want to buy our socks because they're more expensive. So she embraced it, and she said, look, so we know it's going to cost us more to make them here. So why don't we make high-end organic socks with like actual organic materials instead of the polyesters and everything, and then we can charge like $17, $18, $19 a pair, and nobody's going to care because it's what they're expecting. And that's the same, and she's making money doing this. And that's one of the things that I keep pointing folks back to when they talk about how Trump only did this because it was the only way that he could do it and still make money, and that's not true. You can pass the cost on to the consumer as long as you make sure that they are getting a high-end product. They're willing to pay more if they know it's going to be a high-end product. And someone with $10 million could have found somewhere to get his suits made in America, could have found somewhere to get his ties made in America.
Absolutely.
He chose not to.
And beyond that, Rick, a lot of people will pay at least a decent chunk of cents to the dollar to buy American, to buy USA made. People will often willingly pay, especially through the breadbasket in quote unquote flyover country, will pay more for something that they feel like, oh, I'm really supporting other Americans and an American company. And then you add to it a higher quality of, craftsmanship or, whatever. And 100%. They're willing to do it. But you have to market it that way, and he absolutely could. And that's not the concern. That's not his concern.
I understand that it's not his concern, but the thing that I don't understand is how these same people that are listening to him say how he's going to do all of these things don't look at the things that he's already done and realize that with his type of resources, if he was really going to do those type of things, he could have already begun doing them on a much smaller scale.
Well, we've talked about this on our show, but I've said time and time again, believe people. He has shown us who he is. Believe what he says. When people show you who they are, believe them. And he's done it time and time again. He's done it in his own words. He's done it by his actions. He's done it by, previous relationships. Has done it with his business and political pursuits. Believe him. He's telling us exactly what to expect and exactly who he is. He does not exactly care or espouse the principles or values that supposedly the GOP represented, and definitely not the conservative movement. He's a clown.
Exactly. Completely a clown. All right, well, believe it or not, my dear, we are already to the bottom of the hour, so why don't you go ahead and, kind of like we do at the end of our show, since you have probably about 25 to 30,000 new listeners listening to you right now at this point, why don't you go ahead and tell them where it is they can interact with you should they choose to do so?
So you can find me, my main place I hang out is on Twitter at JR Holmstead, HOLMSTED. You can find me if you search there. Also on Facebook, search the same name, JR Holmstead. And then I have created a site with several other really smart people and write for it. And they also write a lot of smart things on misfitpolitics.weebly.com. So check us out there and on Twitter.
All right, well, Miss Jen, I'm going to go ahead and kick you loose. When we come back, folks, we do still have the new bit with Eric Williams. We also do have the Hillary email segment and a couple of news stories that we're going to touch on the bottom of the hour. At this point, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Be right back with you right here on WNJC in just a couple minutes right after we pay some bills. Don't go away. Stay safe. Enjoy that drive home. I'll be right back with you here in just a few. And it's Friday, so just hang in there. You're almost home.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You come into the train, led by a man who wants to break the chains. Establishment is terrified, they can't control his reign. Let's meet this year on the Trump train. Are you coming to the train where brave men called out for a wall built by crane? Media is terrified, they can't control his reign. Let's meet this year on the Trump train. Are you coming to the train where brave men called out the fools who lead in vain? Lobbyists are terrified, they can't control our reign. Let's meet this year on the Trump train. Are you coming to the train? Wear a hat of hope, side by side with me. Make America great again, break the chains. Let's meet this year on the Trump train.
And I will promise you this. We will start winning again. We will win at every single level.
And we are going to be respected by the world again and not laughed at like we're all a bunch of stupid people being led by incompetent politicians. It's not going to go on any longer.
Are you coming to the train?
All right, so I've been letting that play for a minute. In case you don't know where the concept of that song came from, I have another one for you.
Coming to the tree, they strung up a man, they say, who murdered 3. Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight not in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where dead man called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where I told you to run so we'd both be...
All right, so in case you have never seen the movies or read the books, that is Jennifer Lawrence singing The Hanging Tree, which is actually one of the songs from The Hunger Games. If you haven't read the books or seen the movies, I do highly recommend that you do so. Why did I play those, you might ask? That first one that you heard was actually a revamp of that song with the music in the background as a theme song for the Trump campaign. Let that sink in for a second. If you have seen the Hunger Games, and a lot of you have, and if you've read the books, someone had the bright idea to make a pro-Trump song out of the Hanging Tree song. There are, now that he has secured the nomination, all of these different ways that people are trying to point out that this administration will in some ways actually parallel the administration outlined in those books. I didn't want to buy into that at first, and even if it was true, is it possible that these people could possibly understand what it is that we might be headed towards? And I don't know if it's going to wind up being exactly like the Hunger Games. Heck, I don't even know if he's going to win the nomination. But the election, because at this point the nomination is pretty much a foregone conclusion. But what I do know is the fact that we have so many people that, at least on some level, seem to grasp where it is that we might be headed, and nobody's willing to do anything about it. And before anybody starts saying that I'm calling for him to be assassinated or this, that, and the other, none of that could be further from the truth. What I am saying is the same thing that I've been saying now for months. We have, for the first time in our lives, 60% of the American population that doesn't care for either of the two front-running candidates. This is a perfect time to align behind a third-party candidate. Now, I understand that a lot of you are not comfortable with libertarians. I would encourage you to at least look into Austin Peterson. You can find him on Twitter at AP4LP, and he is one of the only pro-life libertarians that I know. Now, I will be completely upfront with you. I do not agree with 100% of what he says, but I do believe that he is enough of a liberty and constitutionally minded person that we could actually manage to save what is left of our republic. Because one of the things that I've been pointing out all week and forever now, honestly, is our election cycles have become the epitome of Einstein's definition of insanity. We keep repeating the same results over and over again, just praying this time is going to be different. And all we keep finding out each time is that our choice was an illusion. Look, even the Trump crowd has been screaming much of the same things, but to them, they want it to be a populist vote. I don't want it to be a populist vote. I think our founding fathers were geniuses when they removed populism from the equation, because populism changes each time the wind blows. We need stability, but we need to be able to make actual, real choices that are different. Politics has become a brand war. You're basically looking at buying the red candidate or buying the blue candidate. It's no different than when you buy the soda in the red can or the soda in the blue can. They may be just a little bit different on the face. They look different. They're in different packaging. Maybe they have some minor differences. But at the same time, when you pop the top and you take a swig, you're still getting soda. Notice I said soda. My neck of the woods, we say pop, but I actually have spent some time on the East Coast, so I know you guys usually refer to it as soda or soda water. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't confuse anybody. But it's one of those things where it's become a brand war. And look, I don't know where I'm going to be at by the time this is all said and done, but I know I'm no longer welcome, and I know I no longer feel at home in the GOP. I don't know if at some point I'm going to start working to band together with a group to build a party where we feel like we actually belong, or if I'm going to graft onto the Libertarian Party and stay here for a while and see if I get along with the folks. I don't know what I'm going to do. What I do know that I cannot do and will not do is vote for a liberal politician regardless of the letter behind their name. And both of the frontrunner candidates are liberal politicians. One of them is a Fabian socialist liberal. The other one is a national socialist liberal. And I don't think you can combat Fabian socialism with national socialism because there aren't enough differences between the two. And for anyone who wants to challenge me that Donald Trump is not a national socialist, please refer back to his 60 Minutes interview where he said he wanted government-funded health care. That is a socialist. And he does have nationalistic tendencies. Wants to build a wall, which, by the way, he now says is going to be mostly virtual. Wants to work on immigration reform, which, by the way, again, now he says is going to be mostly virtual. Which is a big flip-flop from what he said when he was on the debate stage, but no big surprise. Now, speaking of Donald Trump, before we change gears, I have a new presentation. This is from Mr. Eric Williams and the man of 1,000 voices, Mr. Jason DeWilkins, and it is a never-before-heard take of Trump on the campaign trail. And for anyone who's wondering, no, this is not actually Trump, but it's a really good impression of him. It's going to run for about 5 minutes. Want to make sure we get this in here, and then we're going to change gears, talk about Hillary for a second, and make fun of her for the last part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you. You guys are great. Thank you. Hey, shut up. Shut up, you guys. Seriously. Let's get this done, okay? Let's do this thing. I'm busy, okay? I'm really busy. I'll say this. I'm not a politician, okay? And that's probably why I'm doing so well. But I gotta say, this campaigning thing's tough. It really is. It's very busy. Listen, I'm so busy this morning. Listen to this. This morning, I had Paul Manafort take a dump for me. Yeah, I had... listen, I didn't have time. I know, it sounds crazy. Listen, and nobody poops better than me, okay? Believe me. Nobody. People come to me all the time. They say, Donald, you poop better than anybody I've ever seen. They call me the poop machine, okay? I get it. But listen, it's either that or I miss calling into Fox and Friends every morning like I do. I don't have time. But I surround myself with good people. Paul poops better than anybody I've ever met. I surround listen, good people, good poopers. That's what I do, okay? Listen, but I think I'm going to have a lot more free time, okay, coming up soon. We got this thing in the bag. Old Lion Ted has run back to his wife, her Goldman Sachs donor, all these people. And Kasich, I mean, what's he doing? Is he back in Ohio eating pancakes? You see this guy? This guy eats worse. I've never seen anybody eat so bad. And the only thing worse than the way he eats is his campaign. It was terrible. It was awful. Incredibly bad. Incredible. Listen, the polls have us up by 80 points in California. And people love us out there. They call me California Don. That's what they call me. The people, they say, Donald, we love you so much. I love them too. I was thinking about owning a winery out there. I love California so much. They're great. The people are great. I love California. Great people. Great state. What about crooked Hillary? I haven't even started on Hillary. Hillary and Bill, they got a lot of money, okay? Not as much money as me, but they have a lot of money. Why don't you just go off to an assisted living place, okay? Leave the stuff to the experts, the tough stuff. Let the guys who know what we're doing handle the country. You go back to being crooked and over and eating pudding or whatever you do. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Look, I love old people too, but frankly, you leave the tough stuff to the experts. That's what we do. We're going to make America great again. That's right. We're going to do it, okay? I don't know how, and I don't know when, and I don't know why. But listen, frankly, we're going to make America great again. This I can tell you. And after we defeat Grandma Crooked Hillary, we're going to make America so great. It's going to make you nauseous, okay? You're going to have winning cough, okay? You're going to go to the doctor and just winning. You're going to be so sick of winning, okay? You're going to be so sick of how America is now great. It's so great, you're going to be sick of it. I promise you. Believe me. But really quick, the reason why I wanted everybody here today, I want to talk to you about the Electoral College, okay? I mean, this thing is just rigged. It's awful. Have you seen this mess? Talk about a rigged system. The Democrats have got to fix. Look at Bernie Sanders. He's doing really well. No one cares because Hillary's got the whole thing rigged. It's in her favor. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sue the Electoral College. That's right. We're going to take the Electoral College to court, and we're going to win. We're going to win. Okay, I know a lot about college. Okay, now look, Trump University does very well. People love it. People say it's the best education they've ever got in their life. Frankly, nobody knows college better than me. And this college sucks. It's awful. It's terrible. That's why I'm suing them. And we're going to win lawsuits. I don't settle. We win. Listen, I know I've been rambling, okay? That's how a lot of my speeches are. I shoot from the hip, okay? I just come out and say what... listen, get that guy out of here. They're in the third row. Get him out. He's waving the flag with the snake on it. I don't even know what that is. That thing is stupid, okay? Who designed that flag? It's awful. It's terrible. I don't even get it. Get him out of here. Seriously, we don't have time for that. I gotta go. Listen, it's been great talking to you people. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to be on TV and radio for the next 23 hours. Plus, I'd love to stay in chat. Sean Hannity wants to come, okay? And I got to make time for him, okay? He's a good friend. You guys have been an amazing crowd, okay? Absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. You've been great.
All right, folks, so there you have it. Secret. Nice. I guess it had a little bit of a relapse there. All right, so there you have it, folks. Never before heard footage of a Trump speech on the campaign trail. That was brought to you by Eric Williams of barbedwiresatire.com and Jason DeWilkins, former host of According to Me, also known as the Man of 1,000 Voices, does a really good Obama impression and now, honestly, does a really good Trump impression as well. I'm sure he has others. They are working on the next installment of that. Before we bring out the Hillary server bit to close out the show, did want to touch on one very disturbing story about Miss Clinton that I got to say actually kind of made me pause for a second, and then I actually stopped and thought about it. There is a story coming out now that she has an amnesty program that she plans on implementing her first 100 days in office that will basically grant amnesty across the board for quite a few illegals and manage to make sure that they can bring their families across the borders as well. And some are calling it a way to begin actually phasing out the U.S. border. Now, look, I understand, and some of you are going to are going to think this is going to make it sound like I'm actually in the Hillary camp. I'm really not. I'm not. If I had my druthers, I would rather put anybody but Trump or Hillary in there. And we had a chance to do that, and we blew it. So now I'm seriously looking at third party. But at the same time, I keep coming back to the Hamilton doctrine. I know some of you know what that is. For those of you who don't, to paraphrase it, basically it's if we're going to have an enemy at the White House, let's make sure it's not an enemy that is a member of our own party, so that they can't drag our party down with them. Now, that's why a lot of the folks that are part of the Never Trump movement are also not really that opposed to having Hillary in the White House. I personally don't want either one of them there. And this is one of the reasons that gave me pause. But JR and I were talking about it on Thursday night on the show that we do over on K98 Talk. And she actually pointed out something that I hadn't really thought about before. Look, the simple fact of the matter is, if it does wind up being Hillary in the White House, then the Republicans can fight her tooth and nail. I don't know if they will, because they haven't really done it with Obama, but they can fight her tooth and nail. They aren't really going to have a leg to stand on with the American public if they fight with the nominee and eventual president of their party. So again, it makes sense, even with these scary stories coming out, that we let somebody like Hillary take it as opposed to Trump. And I don't say that lightly. And again, I'm not saying that I want Hillary in the White House. What I'm saying is, there's that old saying, the lesser of two evils. Well, when there is no lesser of two evils and you're staring at two equally bad devils, better the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. Trump is an entirely unknown quantity. And a rather unstable quantity, if you ask me. Anybody remember when we talked a couple weeks ago about the whole John Miller, John Barron thing, and how it wasn't him, then it was him, then it wasn't him? He just admitted on Jimmy Kimmel the other night that he actually did do those things and did use those names and did pretend to be those people back when he wasn't as important as he thought he should have been, and he pretended to be his own press agents or whatever else. But again, I don't say any of this lightly. Do you not realize where we could have been? And now we have a choice between which lying, narcissistic person with a god complex we give the nuclear launch codes to. The one that looks good in a pantsuit and the one that looks better in a pantsuit. I'll let you decide which one is which, because I'm not entirely sure.
You've got mail.
Dear. All right, so you know what that sound, folks, or you know what that sound means, folks. It is time for a day in the life of Hillary's server.
She's a very slinky girl, the kind you don't want for Commander-in-Chief. She will never let her guard down, says it's her turn to be leader. Oh girl, she likes her emails to be secret. She says it's none of your damn business. When she makes her move to conceal it, Miss Half Time, she's never done no wrong. Oh no, that girl is pretty.
Dear Rick, hey, it's me, server brother. How you been doing, man? I know your side's a little bummed. I know you guys just found out that Trump got to 1237, and a lot of you guys over there have been fighting against him. Hey, for what it's worth, I've been trying to help you take down Hillary this entire time, but for some reason she just can't seem to get caught doing these type of things, and I don't really understand it. She's been under investigation now for a while. There's the whole Benghazi thing. Now there's the email scandal thing, and she just seems like she manages to get away from it, and I just don't know what I'm going to do, because if it ever gets out that I'm helping you leak these things, they're going to turn me into a Nintendo. But here you go. Here's a few more. Hope you like them. I'll be back in touch with you when I can. I'm going to go drown my sorrows. Maybe spend some time on a website I shouldn't be on. Who knows? All right, from HDRClintonmail.com to Maureen Dowd. Subject, thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much for the write-up in the Times over the weekend where you compared my campaign to the to be Queen of the United States to Bataan Death March. I love that. As I recall, the Bataan Death March was from the early 70s and was a gay pride parade where the marchers threw batons in the air and called for death of homophobia. That's how I see my campaign. We are not going to rest. We are going to march on. We are going to make our voices heard. Change isn't easy, but with you and most of the media in my back pocket, it can be as joyful as the Bataan Death March. Thanks again, Hillary. From HDRClintonmail.com to Sidney Blumenthal. Subject, advice. Sid, need some advice. That damn Clinton cash book and movie are causing me grief again. I saw in the media today that they've discovered I made $21 million from my speeches over the last 2 years. And some here think this could be problematic for me. What's the big deal? My standard fees are from $1,000 to $5,000 per syllable, because what I have to say is of such great importance. I mean, what do ordinary Americans charge for giving a speech? I think my rates are highly competitive. How do you think we should spend this? Thanks a bunch. Hillary. From HDRClintonmail.com to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Subject, Terry McAuliffe. Debs. I guess you've seen in the press today that Terry is being investigated by the FBI for campaign contributions related to our foundation. Poor bastard. I can't begin to imagine how difficult that must be, knowing you were being investigated by the FBI. I know I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. The funny part, though, is that the DOJ is also looking into his actions with their Public Integrity Unit. They don't know Terry very well. He and integrity don't mix well. LOL. Hoping for the best for my crooked friend, Hillary.
She's a very sleazy girl, the kind you don't want for Commander-in-Chief. She will never let her guard down. Let's get her off the streets. Blow, Billy!
All right, folks, well, believe it or not, we are actually coming to the end of the show already. My, oh my, where does the time go? So for those of you that have been driving home this evening and riding along with me in your car, I do hope that you've enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you as soon as I can, hopefully again here with you next Friday during the new drive time slot that we have been moved to. I did speak to Jen on break. She's actually agreed to maybe come on a time or two with us while we're over here, so I do hope that you guys have enjoyed getting to know her a little bit today, and we'll try to have her on again in the future. Again, while we wind things down, folks, I just want to remind you that it is time to find a way to get involved. It's time to put down the remote, get off the couch, find a way to make a difference. Unless, of course, you are one of the rabid Trumpers, then sit back down. No, not really. I mean, I can't fault you guys. You got woke up. You did what you had to do. You just managed to co-opt the entire GOP. Not sure I was ready for that. I'll be back with you guys next week. And don't forget, live tonight, right here on the home station, K98 Talk.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.